Donald Trump just finished a frantic, unraveling phone call aimed directly at what he now sees as his biggest enemy. A Republican senator. Not only is Trump watching his MAGA base slip away from him, but Congress is in full rebellion. That's why Trump is lashing out at his own party as they move to strip him of his power. And with this leaked call, he has set himself up for failure in several ways. Not just losing control right now, but watching his influence collapse completely as his term falls apart. We've got a lot to break down, and none of it is good news for Donald Trump. But before we dive into all the ways this leaked call is exploding his presidency from every angle, let me quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because it really helps support our work. Now, before we get into every disastrous detail and how badly this is backfiring on Trump, we have to start with the reason behind all of it. Trump is desperately trying to expand his authoritarian agenda through a conflict with Venezuela, something Bernie Sanders laid out clearly. And he's not the only one challenging Trump. Republican senators are pushing back too, but first, we've got to start with Bernie.
Let's be clear. The President of the United States does not have the right to unilaterally take this country into war, even against a corrupt and brutal dictator like Maduro. The United States does not have the right, as Trump stated this morning, to run Venezuela. Congress must immediately pass a war powers resolution to end this illegal military operation and reassert its constitutional responsibilities. Trump's attack on Venezuela will not make the United States and the world safer. Quite the contrary. This brazen violation of international law gives a green light to any country on earth that may wish to attack another nation to seize their resources or change their governments. This is the horrific logic of force that Putin used to justify his brutal attack on Ukraine. Trump and his administration have made it clear that they want to revive the Monroe Doctrine, a belief that claims that the United States has the right to dominate the affairs of the hemisphere. They have spoken openly about controlling Venezuela's oil reserves, the largest in the world. Let's make no mistake about it. This is rank imperialism. It recalls the darkest chapters of U.S. interventions in Latin America, which have left a terrible legacy. It will and should be condemned by the democratic world. Trump campaigned for president on an America First platform. He claimed to be the peace candidate. Well, at a time when 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, when our healthcare system is collapsing, when people throughout this country cannot afford housing, and when artificial intelligence threatens millions of jobs, it is time for the president to focus on the crises facing this country and end the military adventurism abroad. Trump is failing in his job to run the United States of America. He should not be trying to run Venezuela.
So Donald Trump wants to pour all of our attention, effort, and national resources into Venezuela in order to extract oil that we won't even realistically see for nearly a decade. Oil that won't meaningfully lower gas prices may never actually materialize at all, but will absolutely send ExxonMobil stock soaring and make a few wealthy executives even richer. That doesn't sound like a good plan to me. And clearly it doesn't sound like a good plan to Republican senators either, who are loudly pushing back. Trump told the New York Times that international law means nothing to him, that he only follows his own morality, which is terrifying. J.D. Vance echoed that same twisted justification in this clip right here. And that's exactly what triggered Trump's furious, unhinged, screaming phone call that has now leaked.
Mr. Vice President, even beyond the war powers resolution today, Congress has bucked President Trump on issues like tariffs. Are you concerned that President Trump is losing his grip on Republicans in the Congress, and what are you going to do about it?
No, I'm not concerned at all. First of all, we talked to some of the senators who are going to vote the wrong way, in my view, on this resolution today. Much of their argument was based more on a legal technicality than any disagreement in policy. If you look at the people who actually voted, every single one of them have supported the administration's plan. Second of all, as the president, I believe himself has already said, every president, Democrat or Republican, believes the War Powers Act is fundamentally a fake and unconstitutional law. It's not going to change anything about how we conduct foreign policy over the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months, and that'll continue to be how we approach things. Go ahead.
So Vance is also saying, lying, mind you, that it is unconstitutional to check Donald Trump's power on the world stage, that he can do whatever he wants. He's the God King. He can launch invasions. He can start wars. He can drop bombs. He can commit acts that violate international law, and it doesn't matter. It's totally fine. Believing that everyone would back up that claim, but it's not happening. Several Republicans voted alongside every Democrat to limit Donald Trump's ability to just go to war at the War Powers Act in the Senate, which just passed and is moving forward. And Donald Trump is furious about it, which is why he got in a screaming phone call with Susan Collins that has a lot of implications for his term. But let's get into the article that covered it first. Trump 79 explodes at GOP senator in profanity-filled call. Donald Trump laid into Republican Senator Susan Collins in an exploitative laden phone call after she voted against one of his top priorities. The president reportedly made a profanity-laced call to the vulnerable Republican senator on Thursday, sources told The Hill. Collins was one of the 5 GOP senators to join Democrats in advancing a resolution on the War Powers Act from the committee to the floor, which passed in a 52-47 vote earlier in the day. He was very mad about the vote. The source told The Hill, very mad, very hot. The resolution would block the president's ability to use military force against Venezuela following the U.S. capture of the country's president, Nicolas Maduro. This throws a wrench in Trump's plans to seize Venezuela's oil. The source told The Hill that the president basically read her the riot act in a phone call that came out of the blue. Collins' office confirmed to The Hill that the call took place, but did not include any additional details on what the president said. The Daily Beast reached out to the senator's representatives and the White House for comment. In addition to Collins, Republican Senators Rand Paul, Lisa Murkowski, Josh Hawley, and Todd Young also voted to advance the War Powers resolution. The move made Trump irate. He posted at length about the 5 conservative lawmakers on his social media platform. Republicans should be ashamed of the senators that just voted with Democrats in attempting to take away our powers to fight and defend the United States of America, Trump wrote. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul, Josh Hawley, and Todd Young should never be elected to office again. Collins is of course up for re-election this year and faces a tight race as Democratic challengers gain in popularity. Her seat will be important for Republicans to maintain control of the Senate after the midterms. However, Trump has been a thorn in his party's side, openly expressing his desire to seek Collins out. The latest call appears to reaffirm his animosity towards the senator. The president obviously is unhappy with the vote, Collins told reporters following Trump's eye. I guess this means that he would prefer to have Governor Mills or somebody else whom he's not had a great relationship. I don't know. I'm just not going to comment. I'm not going to hand Susan Collins too much praise because, frankly, she doesn't deserve it. But she has definitely managed to infuriate Donald Trump. And that matters for several reasons. First, this revolt puts Trump's Venezuela plans at serious risk, especially if this war powers resolution moves forward. It also forces renewed attention on the fact that Trump has shattered his so-called "no new wars" pledge. Something many of us warned about from the beginning. Now it's becoming a real, ideological fracture inside the Republican Party, as figures like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie urge their colleagues to think beyond Trump and prepare for a post-Trump GOP that rejects endless wars and reckless spending designed only to enrich oil giants like ExxonMobil. That's why Senator, including some with 2028 ambitions, are positioning themselves. But Susan Collins is uniquely interesting here, not just because she's opposing Trump, but because she's leaking details of his furious, profanity-laced phone call attacking her. Politically, she may be trying to appeal to moderates back home in Maine, but this time feels different, largely because of her challenger, Graham Plattner. He's a genuine progressive, a veteran who knows firsthand the cost of forever wars that only benefit the ultra-wealthy, and he's running on real affordability, real systemic reform, and without corporate, AI PAC, oil, or crypto money. He wants Chuck Schumer out of leadership and refuses to play establishment politics. This matters because Trump believes he's losing the House, but thinks the Senate is his firewall. If he keeps the Senate, he keeps control of the Supreme Court and can reshape the country for decades. That's why Maine is critical. That's why supporting candidates like Graham Plattner is so important. If we want real structural change, not empty talk, we need bold progressives willing to fight for it. Plattner is that candidate, and yes, he has the best chance of winning. We're going to keep highlighting progressives who are serious about improving people's lives and reshaping this country. And if you support that, make sure you're backing candidates like Graham Plattner who are ready to deliver real change. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop the blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.